We're live on a Tuesday. This is the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse. We talk about other areas besides the Bay Area, the national scene, the international scene. I want to talk today and acknowledge Tom Sinkovitz. Tom is very much alive, retired, has a beautiful wife and children living in the area in San Francisco near the marina. And I've spoken about him in the past, I've written about him, and Tom is a dear friend. I don't say that arrogantly, I say that professionally and with a ton of respect. And every now and then, I like to reach back into the mental archives and speak glowingly of people who get it, people who I admire, people who I grew up watching and admiring. And invariably, when I try to realize and look at where they came from, they are from back east. In this case, Tom Sinkovitz is a native Pennsylvanian, worked in central Pennsylvania. Matter of fact, we were on the phone talking about next month is the I believe it's like the what is it, the 46th, believe it or not, 40, I don't know, it's in the high 40s anniversary of 3 Mile Island. And I distinctively remember that March 79. I remember it was the 28th, it was the middle of the week. Well, Sinkovitz worked back there. He's a Pennsylvania native, and he's an old Pennsylvania ethical kind of a guy. And I say ethical, not that if you're not from Pennsylvania, you're not ethical. It's just that a lot of these guys and gals who came to the Bay Area have San Francisco rooted in them, but a lot of them came from New York and Chicago and even Miami and Philly or central Pennsylvania. Anyway, Tom Sinkovitz was a mainstay at KRON. Believe it or not, he started at KRON in 1990. And that's like what? Almost 40 years ago, for God's sakes. And I just remember watching him and admiring him because, and this sounds like a cliche, folks, so be it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon your origin, it's the case here. He's not only a great, great journalist, he's a great person. He's a great person. And yeah, I've wanted him to come and do my show. And Tom Sink, as they call him, his friends, I'm going to call him Sink for this moment, has had some health issues, everything, but he's still kicking along. In fact, I told him, you're still out there. They can't keep you down. You know, it reminds me of that song, I just got knocked down, but I get up again. Well, Tom wasn't kicked down. He just gets all the crap thrown his way, and he's still walking around. Got a beautiful wife. I mentioned the kids. And Tom is a relic, but he's a good relic. He's one of these people that you definitely can't forget. Got the nice hair, maybe not as much as he used to have. You see the photo. But Tom Sink was a mainstay at KRON. Left KRON about 15 years ago, went and had a stint at NBC Bay Area down in San Jose, where he anchored, did a lot of reporting. The end of his career, he was kind of like their ombudsman, but did a lot of special projects, if you will. And what I love about Tom Sinkovitz is the fact that he looks the part. He is the part. Anchorman, news guy, hard-nosed, funny, poignant, interesting, provocative, It's got all the check boxes. And you know what? When I first met him, years and years ago, I was out and about on the Embarcadero in San Francisco, trying to, shall we say, look for my future ex-wife. And I'm standing in a place, the famous Harry Denton's, right? Over there on the Embarcadero, not that far from the place on the corner whose name escapes me. Somebody will know. And I'm standing there having I think a 7-Up or something, maybe something a little bit more profound than a 7-Up. And I meet this beautiful woman, and she's talking, we're talking and all that. Anyway, I come to find out that she's very much married to a guy who looked like a real pain in the ass, a real jerk. And I think, oh my God, that's Tom Sinkovitz, who came across as this wooden, complete and utter asshole, but he was a real nice guy. And I'm there not hitting on his wife, but we're talking and giggling and laughing and all that. And I said, boy, did you do well, Mr. Sinkovitz? And he laughed. And that's how I met Tom Sinkovitz. And Tom at the time was, as I said, a very much recognizable, thoughtful, cool Mr. News guy. I mean, talk about looking the part at KRON. And that was when KRON was before it became Young Broadcasting. It was an NBC affiliate, strong O&O. And God, we know the ending of that story. That didn't work out that well. But what made it so funny was the fact that he's at this place, this really hip kind of a play. All the SF social power types would go to this place called Harry Denton's. And Harry Denton's was big time, So he's there and he's got this nice Brooks Brothers suit on. He's got the beautiful wife, and we're laughing and talking and this, that, and the other. And come to find out that Paula, who is his wife, they're still very much married. He's retired, and she's big in the real estate world and all that. And it's just funny how we met. I used to think, God, what a complete a-hole. Just the opposite. And came to realize his Pennsylvania background, the hard-edged news guy. I used to say to him, Sink, you remind me of a local Cronkite or a Frank Reynolds or people like John Chancellor and all that. And I loved growing up. It's always good to love when you grow up. Watching these bigger than life figures, Sam Donaldson, Ted Koppel, and Sinkovitz reminded me of that sort of origin. Serious newsman, wasn't pompous. At times, describing whatever he was describing, you could think, wow, this guy is completely Mr. Wooden, but he was the opposite. He was serious, but he had a measured tone. The it factor he had personified, but he gave you seriousness when seriousness was expected and admired and all, but not pompous, not overbearing. He set the proper tone. He was a professional. It's easy to say it like that, but folks, until you actually do it, until you perform the core, not the core, but the chore, sorry, you don't get it. I didn't be an anchor man. I didn't be the professional in that regard. Didn't know what it was like. As a connoisseur, as somebody who looked forward to it, loved it, could remember all the various anchor people who did the proper thing, acted the proper way when the news story deserved it, whether it was, God forbid, an assassination or some kind of horrific event, a terrorist incident, you name it, it deserved it. He could also be, he being Sinkovitz, he could be what you wanted him to be, whether it was funny, whether it was some throwaway story that was deserved of the circular file, as Pete Wilson, the late great Pete Wilson, used to refer to as, whether it was something thoroughly innocuous and benign. Tom Sinkovitz was that kind of guy. I want to keep emphasizing. Tom Sinkovitz still very much alive, enjoying life in San Francisco, gets around. And I brought this story up because I wanted people to know that there are people that are still out there that care about the craft, that are still very vital parts of the community and all that. Tom Sinkovitz doesn't need me to do this to validate himself as a member of the San Francisco elite. He's not, far from it. He's just a good guy. He's just a hard ass, hard nosed former TV guy, former journalist when journalism and television news meant something, when it wasn't the rumor that it's almost semi become today. But he was beyond that. Gentleman, poignant, funny, interesting, provocative, all of the above and then some. KRON people got to know Sinkovitz, or Sink. And there were a few people at KRON and other stations where they were a little pompous. They thought their you know what didn't stink. Sinkovitz isn't like that. He's an inspiration to all of us, especially people like myself, the media mavens. Every now and then, we wanted people to be as human, as down to earth, as grounded as possible. And forgive me for being a little emotional at times here, but I miss people like Tom Sinkovitz, who gave it all, continues to give it all, albeit in not much of a professional capacity, but as a personal endeavor. And I miss people like that. I wish there were more people like Sink in today's environment. We certainly could use it, but I'll never forget his presence, his drive, his inspiration for me, and no doubt thousands of others. Tom Sinkovitz, as my mother would say, is a real mensch.